You see, in this fast-paced, hyper-connected world we live in, it's easy to overshare. We've got social media, instant messaging, and a culture that often encourages us to put everything out there. But the most successful people, the ones who really make a difference in this world, they understand the power of discretion. Let's start with the first thing: you should never share your goals. Now, I know this might sound counterintuitive. You might think sharing your goals would help keep you accountable. But here's the thing: when you share your goals, you get a premature sense of satisfaction. Your brain actually tricks you into feeling like you've already accomplished something just by talking about it. Instead of sharing your goals, write them down. Keep them to yourself. Let your actions speak louder than your words. When you achieve your goals, that's when you can share them as accomplishments, not as intentions. The second thing you should never share is your insecurities. We all have them, every single one of us. But broadcasting your insecurities doesn't make them go away. In fact, it often magnifies them. It's like shining a spotlight on the very things you want to overcome. Instead of sharing your insecurities, work on them privately. Invest in yourself. Read books, take courses, seek professional help if needed, transform your insecurities into strengths, and then share your journey of growth. That's far more inspiring and valuable than a litany of self-doubt. Now, let's talk about the third thing you should never share: other people's secrets. This one should be obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people struggle with this. When someone confides in you, they're trusting you with something precious. Betraying that trust not only hurts them, it hurts you too. You see, when you share someone else's secret, you're telling the world that you can't be trusted. And trust, my friends, is the foundation of all good relationships, personal and professional. Guard other people's secrets as carefully as you guard your own. Your integrity is worth far more than a moment of gossip. The fourth thing you should never share is your financial details. In 2025, financial privacy is going to be more important than ever. With the rise of digital currencies and online banking, your financial information is going to be a hot commodity. Don't give it away freely. This doesn't mean you can't discuss money in general terms. By all means, talk about financial principles, share advice on budgeting or investing. But your specific numbers, your salary, your savings, your debts, keep those to yourself. Remember, wealth whispers? It doesn't need to shout its details from the rooftops. Now, let's move on to the fifth thing you should never share: your personal information online. In 2025, cybersecurity is going to be more crucial than ever. Hackers and scammers are getting more sophisticated by the day. Don't make their job easier by oversharing online. Be cautious about what you post on social media. Think twice before filling out online surveys or questionnaires. And for heaven's sake, don't share your passwords or sensitive information like your social security number online. Protect your digital identity as fiercely as you protect your physical one. The sixth thing you should never share is negative opinions about your job or your boss. Now, I know work can be frustrating sometimes. We all have days when we want to vent. But here's the thing: in 2025, the job market is going to be more competitive than ever. You can't afford to burn bridges. Instead of complaining about your job, focus on improving your skills. Instead of criticizing your boss, try to understand their perspective. If things are really that bad, start looking for a new opportunity quietly. Remember, professionalism isn't just about what you do on the job. It's about how you conduct yourself at all times. And finally, the seventh thing you should never share is your full travel itinerary. In 2025, with social media and location tracking, it's going to be easier than ever for people to know where you are at all times. But just because you can share this information doesn't mean you should. When you broadcast your travel plans, you're essentially telling the world when your home will be empty. You're making yourself vulnerable to theft or worse. By all means, share your experiences after your trip. Post those vacation photos once you're back home, but while you're away, keep a low profile. Now, some of you might be thinking, Jim, this all sounds a bit paranoid. Isn't life about connecting with others? And you're right, it is. But here's the thing: true connection, meaningful connection, isn't about sharing everything. It's about sharing the right things with the right people at the right time. Think about it like this: if you're an open book, you become an easy read. And once people think they've read you cover to cover, they put you down and move on to the next book. But if you maintain a bit of mystery, if you keep some things to yourself, you become more intriguing. People want to know more. They want to dig deeper. This doesn't mean you should be secretive or deceptive. Far from it. It means you should be selective. It means you should value yourself and your privacy. It means you should understand that not everything needs to be shared. In 2025, information is going to be more valuable than ever. Those who can control the flow of information about themselves are going to have a significant advantage. They're going to be the ones who can shape their own narrative, who can protect themselves from unnecessary scrutiny or criticism. Let's talk about each of these 7 things in more depth, starting with your goals. When you share your goals, you're not just risking that premature sense of accomplishment. You're also opening yourself up to unnecessary pressure and potential discouragement. You see, when you tell someone your goal, they're going to ask you about it. They're going to expect updates. And if you haven't made as much progress as you'd like, those questions can become uncomfortable. They can make you feel like you're failing, even if you're moving forward at a perfectly reasonable pace. Moreover, not everyone is going to be supportive of your goals. Some people, even those close to you, might be skeptical. They might share their doubts or concerns, and while they might have good intentions, their words can plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Instead of sharing your goals, share your progress, share your achievements. Let people see what you're doing, not what you're planning to do. This approach has 2 benefits. First, it keeps you focused on action rather than talk. Second, it inspires others by showing them what's possible, not just what's desirable. Now, let's delve deeper into why you shouldn't share your insecurities. When you broadcast your insecurities, you're not just magnifying them in your own mind. You're also giving others a blueprint for how to undermine you. Think about it. If you tell someone you're insecure about your public speaking skills, they're going to be watching you extra closely the next time you give a presentation. They might notice little flaws that they would have otherwise overlooked. And if they're not a true friend, they might even use this knowledge against you. Moreover, constantly talking about your insecurities can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you talk about how bad you are at something, the more you reinforce that belief in your own mind. You start to see yourself as the person who can't do that thing, rather than as someone who's learning and improving. Instead of sharing your insecurities, share your growth journey. Talk about the challenges you're working to overcome. Share the strategies you're using to improve yourself. This approach keeps you focused on solutions rather than problems, and it inspires others to work on their own growth as well. Let's move on to the 3rd point, not sharing other people's secrets. This is about more than just being a good friend or colleague. It's about building a reputation as someone who can be trusted with sensitive information. In 2025, with information being more valuable than ever, the ability to keep secrets is going to be a highly prized skill. Think about it. In business, you might be privy to confidential information about mergers, product launches, or strategic decisions. In your personal life, friends and family might confide in you about their struggles or plans. If you can prove yourself to be a vault, someone who can be trusted to keep information secure, you become invaluable. People will feel safe coming to you with important information. They'll trust you with their thoughts and ideas. And that trust can open doors to opportunities you might never have had otherwise. On the flip side, if you get a reputation as someone who can't keep a secret, people will start to avoid sharing important information with you. You might find yourself left out of crucial conversations or decisions. In extreme cases, it could even cost you relationships or job opportunities. Remember, every time you're tempted to share someone else's secret, ask yourself, is this my story to tell? If the answer is no, keep it to yourself. Your integrity is worth far more than a moment of gossip or the temporary attention you might get from sharing someone else's information. Now, let's talk more about why you shouldn't share your financial details. In 2025, financial privacy is going to be more important than ever, not just for security reasons, but for social and professional reasons as well. When you share your financial details, you're opening yourself up to judgment and unsolicited advice. If you're doing well financially, some people might become jealous or start expecting things from you. If you're struggling, others might look down on you or question your decisions. Moreover, in professional settings, knowing someone's financial details can change the dynamic. If your colleagues know you're making significantly more or less than they are, it can create tension or resentment. If potential business partners know too much about your financial situation, it could affect negotiations. Instead of sharing specific financial details, focus on sharing financial wisdom. Talk about the principles that guide your financial decisions. Discuss strategies for budgeting, saving, or investing in general terms. This approach allows you to add value to conversations about money without compromising your privacy. Let's delve deeper into the importance of not sharing personal information online. In 2025, with artificial intelligence and data analysis becoming more advanced, even seemingly innocuous pieces of information can be used to build a detailed profile of you. Think about those social media quizzes that ask for your first pet's name or the street you grew up on. Those are often the same questions used for security purposes on various accounts. By sharing this information publicly, you're potentially giving hackers the keys to your digital life. Moreover, oversharing online can make you vulnerable to more than just digital threats. Stalkers, identity thieves, and other bad actors can use the information you post to track your movements, impersonate you, or worse. Instead of sharing personal details online, focus on sharing ideas, experiences, and insights. Engage in meaningful discussions about topics you're passionate about. Use social media and online platforms to add value to others' lives, not to broadcast your personal information. Now, let's expand on why you shouldn't share negative opinions about your job or boss. In 2025, with the job market becoming increasingly competitive, your professional reputation is going to be more important than ever. When you complain about your job or criticize your boss, you're not just venting frustrations. You're potentially damaging your professional reputation. Even if you're sharing these opinions with friends or family, you never know who they might know or where that information might end up. Moreover, constantly focusing on the negative aspects of your job can affect your own performance and attitude. The more you complain, the more you train your brain to see the negatives, potentially overlooking opportunities for growth or improvement. Instead of complaining, focus on problem solving. If there are issues at work, think about how you can address them constructively. If you're unhappy with your job, channel that energy into improving your skills or seeking new opportunities. This approach not only protects your professional reputation, but also keeps you focused on growth and progress. Finally, let's talk more about why you shouldn't share your full travel itinerary. In 2025, with social media and location tracking being more prevalent than ever, it's going to be increasingly important to be mindful of the information you share about your whereabouts. When you broadcast your travel plans, you're not just putting your home at risk, you're also potentially compromising your personal safety. Criminals can use this information to target you at your destination, especially if you're traveling to a less secure location. Moreover, in a professional context, sharing your travel plans can sometimes be seen as bragging or unprofessional. Your colleagues don't need to know about every vacation you take. Your clients don't need to see real-time updates of your business trips. Instead of sharing your travel plans in advance, consider sharing your experiences after the fact. Post those vacation photos once you're back home. Share the insights you gained from your business trip after you've returned and processed the information. This approach allows you to share the value of your travels without compromising your safety or professionalism. Now, you might be wondering, Jim, if we're not supposed to share all these things, what should we be sharing? That's an excellent question, and I'm glad you asked. What you should be sharing are your ideas, your insights, your experiences, the things that add value to others' lives. Share the lessons you've learned from your successes and failures. Share your knowledge and expertise in your field. Share your unique perspective on the world. These are the things that truly connect us. These are the things that inspire others, that spark meaningful conversations, that lead to growth and progress. Remember, in 2025 and beyond, your ability to add value to others' lives is going to be your most valuable asset. It's not about how much you share, but about the quality of what you share. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who truly inspire you. Do they share every detail of their lives? Or do they share wisdom, insights, and ideas that make you think, that challenge you to grow? Be that kind of person. Be the one who adds value, who inspires, who makes others think. That's the kind of sharing that truly matters. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Jim, doesn't this go against the idea of authenticity? Aren't we supposed to be our true selves? And that's a valid concern. But here's the thing, being authentic doesn't mean sharing everything. It means being true to your values, your principles, your core self. You can be completely authentic without sharing your bank balance. You can be true to yourself without broadcasting your travel plans. Authenticity is about the quality of your interactions, not the quantity of information you share. Think about it like this. A great book doesn't tell you every single detail about its characters. It tells you the important things, the things that matter to the story. Your life is the same way. Share the parts that matter, the parts that add value, the parts that are true to who you are at your core. This approach not only protects your privacy and security, it also makes you more interesting. It makes people want to know more about you. It creates opportunities for deeper, more meaningful connections. Now, let's talk about how to implement these principles in your daily life. Because knowing something is one thing, but actually doing it is another. Start by doing a digital audit of your life. Look at your social media profiles, your online presence. What kind of information are you sharing? Is it adding value to others' lives? Is it protecting your privacy and security? If not, it might be time to make some changes. Next, practice mindfulness in your conversations. Before you share something, ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this helpful? Is this mine to share? If the answer to any of these questions is no, it might be better to keep it to yourself. Develop the habit of pausing before you post or speak. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to share without thinking. But taking even just a few seconds to consider the potential impact of your words can make a big difference. Remember, every time you choose not to share something unnecessary, you're strengthening your self-control. You're building your ability to be selective, to be strategic, to be valuable in your interactions. This doesn't mean you should never share personal things. There are times when sharing personal experiences can be powerful and meaningful. The key is to be intentional about it. Share with purpose, not just for the sake of sharing. Now, let's address another important aspect of this, how to handle it when others are oversharing. Because even if you're practicing discretion, you're likely to encounter people who aren't. When someone is sharing something they shouldn't, you have a few options. You can change the subject, redirecting the conversation to more appropriate topics. You can gently remind them about the importance of privacy and discretion. Or in some cases, you might need to distance yourself from people who consistently overshare or disrespect others' privacy. Remember, you're not just responsible for what you share, but also for what you allow into your mind. Be selective about the information you consume, just as you're selective about the information you share. This brings us to another important point, the power of listening. When you're not constantly sharing, you create more space to listen. And listening, truly listening, is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. When you listen more than you speak, you learn, you gain insights, you understand people better. You become wiser. And paradoxically, by speaking less, you often become more influential. Because when you do speak, people know it's going to be something worth hearing. Now, I know some of you might be worried about coming across as aloof or unfriendly if you're not sharing as much. But here's the thing, quality connections aren't built on how much you share, but on how meaningful your interactions are. You can be warm, friendly, and engaging without oversharing. It's about being present, showing genuine interest in others, and contributing value to conversations. Remember, discretion is a sign of wisdom and self-control. In 2025, these qualities will be more valuable than ever. As information becomes more abundant, the ability to filter, to discern what's important, and to protect sensitive information will set you apart. It's not about being secretive, it's about being strategic with your personal information. Implementing these principles might feel challenging at first. You might catch yourself about to share something you shouldn't. That's okay. Like any new habit, this takes practice. Be patient with yourself, but be persistent. Each time you choose discretion over oversharing, you're strengthening your self-discipline and protecting your future. As you practice these principles, you'll likely notice some changes. You might find your relationships becoming deeper and more meaningful. You might feel a greater sense of control over your life and your information. You might even find opportunities opening up that wouldn't have been available if you'd been oversharing. In the end, what you don't share can be just as important as what you do share. By keeping these 7 things to yourself, you're not just protecting your privacy and security. You're also creating space for personal growth, for deeper connections, and for greater success in all areas of your life. So go forth into 2025 with wisdom and discretion. Be selective about what you share. Focus on adding value to others' lives. Listen more than you speak. And watch as your life transforms in powerful and positive ways. Remember, your privacy is your power. Guard it wisely and use it to create the life you truly desire.